Hello, back with ancient cosmography. Um, dealing with the Celtic traditions around Finn McCool, and so it seems to be that Finnegas, the fisherman druid who catches the salmon of knowledge for Fingal, for Finn McCool, is and they're all basically aspects of, they're all Fenians or Fianna. Like, this is Finnegas, then Finn McCool is Fingal, and then the fish of knowledge is sometimes called Fintan. So I think they're all, because they're all associated with Britain. And, this is off the northeastern coast of Britain, of Scotland. And he's like, fishing, dangling his boots over and whatnot. Anyway, I already showed this one, but it's just a recap. And then there's a story where it's about this character is jumping over the fire or jumping over the hearth. So I think that's the Shetland. And he's called Finn something else. And he's exiled then and then I think he shows up in the Faroe Islands as either this guy or somehow this. I was thinking this was the stag because there's supposed to be a stag in the tree, and it seemed that the Faroe Islands altogether are like a tree. But I'm now realizing that it's possible that the tree, there may be multiple trees, or the tree may be actually Iceland. But like one part of it, there's, in the tree, he's supposed to have a white bronze bowl that filled with water with a jumping fish in it. So that seems to be the jumping fish, and this seems to be the bronze bowl. This is part of the Faroe Islands. And so here's Finn McCool with the Salmon of Knowledge, the Outer Hebrides being the Salmon of Knowledge, and Skye being him, and Soe, the Small Isles being his hand, his fist and thumb, and the Soe being also his thumb that he's sucking on, because it kind of like, it's like a comic where it has the same thing in different frames or different iterations, incarnations. So yeah, so I was saying that the Faroes do look like a tree. But it could also be that the tree is Iceland, because in a way Iceland also looks like a tree. And so anyway, the fisherman catches the fish, but he gives it to Fingal. So this is Finnegas. He's fishing, he catches the salmon of knowledge, and he gives it to Fingal to cook it. And I think the reason he gives it to Fingal is because Fingal's hair is the fire, and so he cooks it. Literally, he cooks it. This is the kind of stuff that goes on in these stories. So I think this shows, shows the fire and the fish being cooked. And, I increase the saturation because it's described as a red fish, or sometimes a red speckled fish. And, you know, I increased the saturation, so this is not what it normally looks like. But if it wasn't reddish, if it didn't have a lot of red in it, it wouldn't turn this color. It would turn whatever color it does have in it. So, so yeah, this looks perfectly well like a fish being cooked, and even the parts in between here kind of look smoky and cooked. And this is the fire. This totally, you know, looks as much like a fire as anything that I've, you know, it's similar to the fire in the Canadian mythology, which is a coastline in like one of the Great Lakes. So yeah, so this proves that A, yes, it really is reddish, and B, it shows why it's Fingal cooking it, because he's literally cooking it with his fucking head. But yeah, I was saying there's a chance that the maybe this. Okay, yeah, there's a chance that the tree is actually this. That the tree is actually Iceland, or they could both be trees because it talks about like a forest or something. And so, you know, this definitely could be like a weird looking trunk, you know, with some weird roots here. And this would be the tree. And because it says that there's, you know, the man, so it could still be that this guy, the jumping guy who gets banished, could still be in here with that fish and the bowl, but he's described as being at the top of the tree, and that could simply be because he's quote unquote above this tree, you know, like that is just like over here, so he's kind of like quote unquote on top of this tree. And then when it says that the stag is at the base of the tree, you know, there was something that looked like a stag somewhat in the Faroes, but it could actually be referring to this, which I think I've already noticed just on my own, that it kind of looks like a stag or something like that. Because this is a lot of times how they made these, you know, avatars, just like on Britain, they, you know, different peninsulas would belong to different beings. So of course this would be the back legs, front legs, head, you know, face, and then this would be the antlers of the stag, because that's the defining feature of a stag, is having lots of big antlers, and this definitely like fits the bill. So I'm kind of leaning towards this now, that the tree is, or at least one of the trees, the tree